Hello, my name's Stephen. Feel free to just call me Steve-O. That's the cat in the background. Yeah, you don't know me, I don't know you, the cat doesn't know you. So I'll get straight to the point of what this video is about. Basically, I managed to become a front-end web developer in the tech industry here in the UK from being a tour bus driver the year before, without any coding experience whatsoever. So, why am I telling you this? Why am I making this video? Why did I make the channel? Basically, I created this channel because I feel like my story, my experience so far could provide some kind of unique perspective to anyone who watches, anyone who's looking to get into the tech industry, or if you're already there, you know, if you want to see how other people have done it, coming from somewhat unconventional backgrounds, or maybe you want to help out friends, family, do the same thing. That kind of thing, then, you know, I'm hoping you'll get something from this either way. However, there is more to it than that. I feel like people who are just saying, I'm just kind of trying to help people out and things, you know, I'm just trying to be helpful and kind and things. They've always got something else, haven't they? There's always another reason. I don't know if that's just me. They're not telling you something usually. There's another motive, is what the word I'm looking for. So yeah, there is more to it than that. I'll do the benefit of telling you my other reason. Basically, it's kind of for me as well. I learn best from teaching, and you know, therefore I like to teach. I like to teach, discuss things that I learn, things that I do, and that way I can fully grasp what it is that I've learned or done. I like to leverage skills that I have in more than one way if I can. You know, make more use of them. Something like coding as well, programming, it just seems too useful to sort of limit strictly to my working professional career. You know, I feel like it's something I should be sort of put into good use in some other way. And I feel like it's a pretty popular thing these days for people to be trying to get into. So here I am. So basically, this channel is. It's about that. I want to discuss my experiences, my opinions, and knowledge gained from working in the tech industry as a software engineer or developer or whatever you want to call it. It's interchangeable, isn't it? Yeah, I can do that. Potentially help a few people out, and I can learn more as well. You know, I could be wrong about a lot of things, and you guys can just call me out on my BS if I'm wrong, and that's fine. That helps as well. Believe it or not. So yeah, I'm looking to hear from people. I'm looking to get in touch with people and see their experiences and help people out potentially. And you guys can help me out, and it'll be a win-win situation for both of us. Hopefully, that's what I'm hoping for by doing this. So yeah, with that out of the way, how on earth did I manage to go from being a tour bus driver to a software engineer? So, in the interest of keeping things short and sweet, I'm not going to go through my whole life story in this video. That may be in another video, potentially. If that's something people want to hear more about, you know, my background and the various different paths I've been down, trying to find a long-term career and things. I've done a few things in the past, I'd say. I was a tour bus driver, regular bus driver. I was a musician at one point. I've had a somewhat colourful past, so... yeah, if you guys want to know more about my past and how I ended up here, then yeah, let me know, I guess. But in short, I was working in the tourism industry as a tour bus driver, as I said, in Edinburgh, Scotland. You couldn't tell by my accent, I'm Scottish, obviously. I was working in Edinburgh at the time, doing the sort of tour guide / bus driver thing. We do this thing where we do the bus driving part and the tour guide part at the same time. It's quite common here. So it was a very intense job, I'd say. Intense, you had to be sort of energetic all the time and long hours away from home. It was exhausting as well, but it was good fun. So, you know, don't get me wrong, it was great fun. You know, I had fun doing that, meeting people, you know, traveling up and down the country and exploring the Highlands of Scotland and things, which are obviously renowned for its history and the scenery and things like that. It's a otherworldly place at times, and I miss it even sometimes. But yeah, as I said, you spend a lot of time away from home. you don't work at all in the winter. Pretty much, there is no work in the winter, so it's basically seasonal. And there's no progression or anything like that. And as I said as well, it's exhausting. It's very tiring in the summer. So it's just not an ideal long-term career, especially for like a young person with sort of my whole working life ahead of me still. This was obviously a couple of years back at this point. I'm in my late 20s now, so I'm still young. But at the time, I was still pretty young. I hadn't been working for that long, really. So I thought I kind of need to find something new, really. So this was at the start of 2020 at this point. You know what's coming. I was already looking for work actually before the big moment happened. COVID. Around sort of March, April, obviously that would kick off. But up until that point, I'd actually been looking for work already, doing different things like sales and stuff like that, sort of things that would leverage customer service experience that I already had. But it was not anything sort of out the realms of sort of possibility of what I could do already, basically. It was all quite similar stuff. So yeah, I didn't have much luck. I got a few bites here and there, but not too much. And then COVID happened, and by that point, everyone in tourism lost their jobs. We were all laid off, including myself. And then I was found jobless, unemployed for the first time since I'd started working, really. And yeah, all this spare time now and no work. That's quite a daunting thing, I'd say, for most people, suddenly being left without a job. But I was lucky in a sense, because I was already looking for work, for one. And I was still living with my dad at the time as well. I didn't have like a mortgage or anything to pay, no dependents, no children or anything like that. So, no bills, no dependencies of any kind, and a little bit of savings saved up as well, from my time working in tourism and things like that. So yeah, I realised it was like now or never to take advantage of that. I had all this money and all this time to go and do whatever I wanted. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise for me, I guess. It's probably not been the case for everyone. But what I did do was take advantage of it and didn't let it slip past. So I used that time to really figure out what it was I actually wanted to do. And it didn't take too long, a couple of weeks or so, to realise that now was probably a good time to get back into programming. It was something that I did have previous interest in back in sort of high school. And I always used to say I would have gone into tech had it not been for choosing music instead, because I was a musician for a while. I actually went to study music. I did my degree in music. So yeah, had I not taken that road, I'd have probably went into tech doing something, not necessarily programming, but something. So yeah, a topic for another day, perhaps. But yeah, it was sort of the road not taken kind of thing for me. So started looking into that again. Found Python. That's one of the first programming languages most people come across these days. And I started looking into that and sort of learning the basic fundamentals of programming. Just through various courses, the usual places that people learn stuff these days, like YouTube, Udemy, free bootcamp, for the dev stuff, that kind of thing. And yeah, pretty early on, I was convinced that this was what I wanted to do. It just clicked. It was one of those things where I was like, this is what I want to do now. I hadn't been so sure of anything for a long time. I'm the kind of person that kind of floats around and sort of doesn't really know what it wants to do sometimes. But this was different. So I knew I wanted to take it seriously. So what I did with the money I had left was I took all those savings and threw it at a coding bootcamp, which I might make another video on those, because I know they've got quite a controversial reputation in various parts of the world, especially the US and things, where I hear a lot of sort of horror stories about them over there. Luckily for us here in Scotland, there is only one that I'm aware of that's recognised by our actual sort of education authority, like a government body. It's almost like a seal of approval in a sense from the government. It's a pretty sort of secure thing, I guess. Like, you're not gonna get scammed through it if it's being backed by the government, if that makes sense. So that right away was like, oh, okay, well, it must be like a legitimate course then. And it's not nearly as expensive here as well. That's the other thing. It was expensive, but it wasn't like life-altering amounts of money expensive, which was also a plus. So that, plus all the good reviews and stuff I was seeing about it, I eventually joined the course. In around June, I think it was June of 2020, I joined the software development course at CodeClan, which is our sort of only coding bootcamp here. There may be more, but I'm not aware of any. Let me know if there is any that I'm not aware of. Maybe there's some new ones, but that's sort of the big one here. So I joined that, and it was great, actually. It went really well. I know it doesn't work out for everyone, but everyone that I went on the course with, there was about 10 of us, 10 or 11 of us, including me. It went well for all of us. We all got jobs in the end, and we all learned a thing or two. We all made friends, and it was just worth going for me, and especially for sort of the group aspect of it. The networking, engaging with other like-minded people, and getting involved in group projects and stuff like that. Especially going into sort of an agile environment. That's one of the most important things you could possibly have experience in, especially just getting into tech. So getting that kind of experience under your belt before you even get a job is quite valuable, I would say. So for that in itself, it's worth doing, in my opinion. But yeah, as I said, I will make another video on it because it's quite the topic, sort of on its own. So we'll skip past that just now. So at this point, some people might be thinking, that surely has sped up the process somewhat. What about us guys who are just learning on our own, who are just doing this for free, essentially? They're taking their spare time and learning this stuff on their own. It is possible, I will say that, and I have seen it happen, but it will be harder. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, basically. It will be more difficult if you don't have sort of the same networking opportunities, if you don't know people sort of trying to do the same thing. It can help sometimes being part of sort of a network, especially when you're trying to get your foot in the door. But it's not impossible, so by all means, keep listening. The process is more or less the same. It's just there's a few extra steps, essentially, and it might be a bit more difficult. Might take a bit longer to sort of learn and grasp some things, but it is possible. Anyway, a couple months go by after the course, and I'm not getting a huge amount of interest because, although the course makes things easier from a learning perspective, as someone with no experience, it is still difficult to get a first job, get their foot in the door. So a couple months go past and I didn't really get much. I got an interview or two here and there, but it didn't really turn into a job opportunity or anything like that. So I knew at this point I had to get a bit creative. I had to try and create some kind of opportunity for myself, and try and sort of use my network and use the resources that I had to try and pull something out the bag here. I got in touch with a local marketing agency that I'd actually previously applied for a sales associate job with. I knew basically that, as well as ads and things like that, they also created websites and things for their clients. So what I did was I got in touch with them again, and I got in touch with the manager who interviewed me, and I said, look, this is what I've been doing for the past sort of 3/4 of a year. I've pivoted a little bit. And I've been learning how to program, how to create websites and things like that, and web development and all that. Showed them some of the things I've been doing, and I said, I don't know if you guys are looking for a new dev, but I know you guys create websites for your clients and things like that. Something you probably need a dev for, so if you're looking for one, get in touch. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that's kind of how the conversation went down. It just so happens by sheer luck that they were, in fact, in talks of hiring a dev. to sort of start getting into maybe more complicated work than what they were doing at the time. Yeah, he said, leave it with me, and I'll get back to you. Within that week, pretty much, we arranged an interview, and I got the job. It was actually really fast turnover. It turns out that my 2B manager, not the guy who I was talking to, but actually another guy, the manager of the web team, we had a ton of similar interests as well, and we spent most of the interview talking about gaming. So it helps to be sociable and get on with the people that are actually interviewing you. It goes a long way. But we got on really well, so much so that we actually still talk. We're still friends, still play games together and things like that. So it goes a long way to be sort of sociable. Soft skills, can't say enough about them. Like they're definitely worth having as someone who lacks inexperience. Because ultimately people want to work with someone who they want to be around, basically. That's sort of the most important thing for most people. But unfortunately, I don't actually work there anymore. I was only there for about 8 months. So I started in January 2021, and I was there till about August. I ended up finding another job after that once I had a bit of experience, which was just a bit more suitable for me. It was sort of had a better sort of bit of a better compensation package and things like that, and working with sort of new technologies and sort of utilizing more of the skills that I was hoping to use, and that kind of thing. More learning opportunities. It was a bigger company and things. Just one of those moves that makes sense once you've got a bit of experience, which ultimately most people will do. Your first job is not going to be your forever job. So keep that in mind when you get your first job. It's great to get your foot in the door, but you probably won't be there that long in the grand scheme of things. You will find something that will ultimately be a bit more long term later, once you've kind of figured out what you want and things. Once you've got on your feet and you've got a bit of experience actually working and doing things. But yeah, that was great. That got me my foot in the door essentially, and that was it. I've been working where I am just now as a software engineer since August of 2021, and that's it. That is the story of how I got to where I am about sort of 2.5 years later, something like that. If I hadn't dove into the coding bootcamp and things head first and sort of gave myself no option other than to succeed, then I might not have. It ultimately does come down to you. Whether you're in a favourable position or not, you still need to go out your way to try and get the thing you want. I don't know if that's meant to be encouraging or just the truth, I guess. Yeah, just keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. You'll get there eventually. It might be longer for some. It might not take much time at all for others, but if you keep at it, it will eventually happen for most people. If it's to be, then it will happen, basically. So, in summary, if anyone watches this at all, and is looking to get a job in tech, whether that's as a developer or another tech role, I strongly recommend you give it a shot. Even if you don't have like a CS degree or anything, computer science, it's perfectly doable, as a self-taught person. I, among many others, are living proof of that. In this day and age, you don't necessarily need any sort of degree to get into tech. It is quite doable for most people to just learn on their own. The internet has everything you need these days when it comes to learning materials. So if you can prove that you've got the drive and you can learn all this stuff on your own, it's usually enough to say you're motivated enough to do this stuff and do it well. So I think most employers understand that these days in the tech world. So yeah, by all means, give it a shot. Regardless of your situation, it might take a bit longer for you. It might not take too much time at all. But the main thing is you sort of give it your all if you really want to give it a shot. And yeah, I'm not a huge believer in the whole, if you will it to happen, it will happen sort of thing. But I do know that if you have a bad outlook on it, it's ultimately going to potentially sabotage that. So I think you actually not giving yourself an option to fail does sort of affect the probability of it happening or not. Doesn't necessarily guarantee that you'll get what you want, but it helps to have an optimistic approach to it. So if you find this useful, motivational, encouraging, I'm not trying to be a motivational speaker, but if you did find it encouraging in any way, then let me know. If you've got any questions at all, of course, as well, let me know. I want to hear from people. I want to see what other people are doing to get into the tech industry, what other people have done, what they're trying to do to get in. So let me know by doing all that typical YouTube engagement stuff. Like, sub if you want to hear more from me. Subscribe and leave a comment as well. To, as I said, let me know your situation. I want to know other people's stories and what questions people have got for me. What they want to hear from me. What kind of stuff you want to hear me talk about. Because I do plan on doing some more videos, especially if this gets any sort of interest. If you want to know or talk about something in particular, just leave a comment and ask, and I'll see what I can do. Anyway, that's it for this one. Bye for now.